This is a quieter week. The calendar slows down, but for a lot of owners, the mind doesn't. If you're feeling tired right now in a way that rest hasn't fixed, today isn't a motivational talk, and it's not a strategy breakdown either. Today is going to be a conversation for owners who feel worn down and don't quite know why. Welcome to the Budding Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Randy Bridges, business advisor, consultant, coach, and trusted partner to service-based business owners who are serious about performance, profit, and progress. This podcast exists to do one thing: help you solve the real problems that stall your growth, kill momentum, and burn out the very people who built your business. So let's get started, shall we? All right. We are on episode 231 of the podcast, and today is Wednesday, December 24th, 2025, the day before Christmas and just over a week to the new year. If you're listening to this as the year winds down, chances are the business didn't fall apart this year. Your revenues may be fine, clients are still there, the wheels are still on, and yet, for many owners, it feels heavy, exhausting even. And what's confusing about that kind of exhaustion is simple. You didn't stop working hard. You're still disciplined, still capable, still showing up. But the same effort that used to create relief now creates more weight. And that's what I want to talk about today. Before we go any further, let me set expectations. This episode isn't about fixing your business, it's not about planning next year, and it's definitely not about pushing harder. My hope is something simpler than that. That by the end of this conversation, you will stop wondering what's wrong with you and start seeing what's changed around you. If that happens, this episode has done its job. Here's a truth that I find a little uncomfortable saying out loud. Exhaustion isn't always a sign of too much work. Sometimes it's a sign you're working from a role that your business has outgrown. Nothing's broken, but something has changed. And when we don't have language for that change, we usually turn inward. We assume it's got to be motivation, or discipline, or focus. But very often, it's none of those things. I noticed this recently in my own work, and it still surprises me to realize that this has happened. A few years ago, I started using a tool to help me move faster in the business. It helped me clean things up, summarize my ideas, and get unstuck. Later, I started using it differently, not to finish my tasks, but to think through decisions, to pressure test my ideas, and to slow down, see things more clearly. And eventually, I noticed something else had shifted. I wasn't asking for answers anymore. I was now designing systems, structures, frameworks that didn't require constant effort from me. And the important part is that nothing failed, the tool I was using didn't break, and I didn't lose capability. But my role changed. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it, because the same thing happens inside growing businesses every day. And this is where it gets personal for a lot of owners. They start asking questions that they don't want to talk about out loud. They say things like, why am I more tired now when I'm more experienced? I should be better than this. Or why does this feel harder and not easier? And my favorite, why can't I just push the way I used to? And that tension creates quiet self-doubt. But here's the reframe that matters. That tension isn't weakness. It's really awareness arriving before you have the language to describe it. You're sensing that something no longer fits, but you haven't quite named it yet. And that's why this week matters. Not because it's time to fix anything, but because it's time to notice. This week isn't for solving the business. It's not for redesigning everything, and it's not for forcing clarity. It's for noticing where effort stopped creating relief. And just as important, letting go of the idea that this is a personal failure. In our closing reflection, hard work built your business. It doesn't make it wrong, and it doesn't mean it was a mistake, but it might not be the tool for you anymore. You're not exhausted because you're failing. You're exhausted because you're being asked to lead differently. We'll talk more about what that means next week. For now, just let that land. Thanks for spending part of your week with me. If this episode felt quieter than usual, that was intentional. Sometimes clarity doesn't come from answers. It comes from naming what you already know to be true. I'll see you next time on The Budding Entrepreneur. As always, build it smart, run it clean, and stay aligned. That's it for this episode. I hope you picked up some valuable insights and maybe even sparked a few new ideas. If you want to keep the conversation going or maybe even explore partnerships, don't hesitate to reach out. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. The steps you take today could be the start of something big tomorrow. For the budding entrepreneur, I wish you the best in your health, your wealth, your business, your family, everything about you. Take care, and we'll see you back here next week.